Welcome to the Ultimate Mitsurugi Ryzeal Guide. I'll be showcasing the many different variations on how to play this deck, as this will become the new best deck. As we hop into the one-card Habakiri combo, very important disclaimer, there are a ton of variations with this deck that does change the combos, which I will be covering almost all of them. One-card combo Habakiri, as we're going to go into the disruptions at the end of the turn as we activate it to summon from the deck Kusanagi, tributing it to play around Impermanence, activating Engrave to search our deck for the Mitsurugi Ritual. Using the Ritual, we're going to tribute from the deck to summon the Habakiri from the hand. You cannot ash this effect. And Engrave right now, we're going to be triggering the Serpent and the Kusanagi. Do not worry, I will be showcasing plays without the Serpent and even without the Kusanagi. Kusanagi is going to add the Ritual Engrave back to the hand. The Serpent's going to reborn from Engrave back onto the field, as we're now going to activate the Mitsurugi Ritual to tribute off the Habakiri on field to summon from the deck a Mirakumo. Now, the Engrave Habakiri is going to trigger to reborn and search our deck for a Mitsurugi Prayers. We're now going to be activating the Prayers, tributing off the Mirakumo to search our deck for a monster, which will be the Aramasa, and then we're going to reborn by paying 800 to summon from Engrave the Kusanagi, and then we're going to trigger the Mirakumo to search our deck for another Prayers, reborning itself onto the field here. Now, we're going to be turning these two into a duo drive. What's very important here is we did not commit to our normal summon, and if the duo drive were to get impermanence, we could play right through it by summoning alongside it the Dragluxion, which I'll be showcasing in another combo. Now, duo drive, we're going to be activating the effect to detach two, searching our deck for a Node Ryzeal and a Sword. We're going to be linking off two bodies into the Mask Arena before we're locked into rank 4 Xyzes. Now, special summon the Sword, activating to search our deck for an Ext Ryzeal. Ext Ryzeal on summon's going to activate, special summon for the deck, and do a Star Ryzeal. Star Ryzeal is now going to be activating set from the deck the field spell. Flip up the field spell, and now this is the last chance for the opponent to activate a Nibiru. I have specifically set it up this way to ensure that if we were to get Nibiru'd at this point in time, we could follow up with a Node Ryzeal. And even if we do get Nibiru'd, we still have the Mitsurugi Prayers to reborn our Murakumo from the graveyard back in the field, which could Regeki their field. And also on the activation of Nibiru, they have to discard a card, which they may just discard the Nibiru itself. Now, let's commit to give ourselves the much-needed protection of the Ryzeal Cross, as we're going to activate the Detonator to attach from Engrave, then special summon the Node. Now, we're going to turn these two bodies into a Gallant Granite. Granite is going to be detaching to search our deck for a Nibiru. If you summon the Granite before the Detonator, you're not going to have the protection of the Cross being used with Detonator to negate the Nibiru. Now, let's use the field spell to return two cards in graveyard back into the deck to draw one. Set the Prayers, and now I'm going to showcase to you how to use our Disruption. Ooh, that's a lot of cards in their hand. We're going to start off with a Dormouse. We could use the Masquerina, which could go into a Little Knight with the Granite, or using our Ritual, we can instead go into a Dynamundo. Dynamundo is going to return back into our deck the Habakiri as we return back the Dormouse, as we're not banishing it so it does not trigger from the effect of a Little Knight. It goes back into the deck. They're going to chain a March Hare here. That is fine. March Hare banishing a White Rabbit to come forth and summon for the hand. As we now bounce it back, the White Rabbit's going to activate. We're going to use the other effect of Dynamundo. We're going to be targeting the Engrave Murakumo to reborn from Engrave, and this is when the opponent is going to be whipping out their finger. Activate the Call by the Grave, targeting our Murakumo, which is a huge counter to this deck, but we have the play around it. We're going to use the Prayers to reborn the Murakumo to dodge the finger. No finger today, as let's now resolve everything. They are going to be summoning back onto the field the White Rabbits, and it's going to be activating alongside our Murakumo on special summon. Activate to set a trap as we activate to non-target Raigeki, wipe the entire opposing field of monsters. Wipe the field, and we still have more. They're now setting their trap. They're going to activate the field spell. We of course have Detonator to pop it, and then from here they are going to be chaining a Forbidden Droplet. Droplet is going to be negating the Detonator and the Murakumo, but we could still have many plays. Thus, their field spell is now protected. Sure. Negate, and from here they're going to banish a Chessie from the deck. It will trigger to summon itself back onto the field, and now we are going to be linking off the Chessie on the opposing side to go into a Lingaribo. With that Lingaribo, they're now going to be activating the backup Ignister to summon, activate to search the deck for a Wizard. They're going to be discarding a card afterward. Wizard's going to be reborning. We're going to be detaching off the Ryzeal Cross, even though we're negated to negate their Wizard. Now we're going to be triggering the Serpent because it was detached by a card effect to reborn, as they further go into a Splash Mage. Splash Mage will be activating to reborn from Engrave, and on the resolution, we are going to wipe the field with our searched for Nibiru. And because we are tributing the field, we are now going to be triggering our Engrave Murakumo. Murakumo has another effect. Not only are we searching for a follow-up, but while on the field and not negated, if they activate anything, we could choose that they have to discard or the effect does not work. They're going to activate a Gold Sark. We're going to force them to discard the final card from their hand. Now, if they do not have a card in their hand, the effect gets negated. They would not be resolving the Gold Sark. mark. Now, because they banished every copy of Malice available besides the March Hare, which they already activated the March Hare to summon itself onto the field, the duel is now over from here. Wizard can't change the battle position of the Primal Being token. End of replay. That is how you do it. One Habakiri versus an Impermanence. Let's go. Activate the Habakiri, summon the Saji, trigger its effect in grave, searching for the ritual. We're going to ritual, send from the deck to the grave to summon from the hand the Habakiri. We're going to be showcasing other plays without the Serpent in other plays as we reborn the Serpent and add back from the grave our ritual spell. Now activate the ritual, tribute off the Habakiri to summon from the deck our Murakumo. Trigger the Habakiri, search our deck for the prayers, reborn back from the field, activate the prayers, tribute off the Murakumo to search our deck for an Arama. Now, we're not going to be summoning the Arama because instead if we summon the Kusanagi, by not using up our normal summon, we could normal summon this alongside an Nibiru token if we need to at least make a Mask Arena with it, and we'll have a prayers to also reborn our Murakumo back in the field. Let's trigger the Murakumo, grabbing the prayers that we would need, and now with this field, we're going to go into the Duo Drive. They're going to be activating the Impermanence, and we're going to play right through it as if it never even happened, and of course, we're going to force them to discard in order to resolve the Impermanence. So goodbye to 2 cards in their hand if they want to negate the Duo Drive, and then from here, we're going to be linking off, I should say, seizing into the Dragluxion. Dragluxion is going to be activating on summon, by the way. It's not an ignition effect, so even if this is your 5th summon, a Nibiru could not stop this. We're going to be searching for the 7 Tachyon, and now you could optionally go into a Harbinger, which can now negate any spell. And let's 7 Tachyon, search in our deck for the Ext Ryzeal, and from here, you can normal summon the ice and pop off from there, and just like that, you have fully played through an Impermanence. 1 Habakiri with no Night Sword Serpent. Activate Habakiri, summon for the deck the Saji. Saji triggering, searching for the ritual. Ritual out from our hand, the Habakiri. We're going to instead be tributing off the Aramasa plus the Kusanagi. We're going to be chainlink blocking the Kusanagi because the search of the Aramasa is not that very important. We're going to grab the ritual, activate it to tribute off from on field to now summon from the deck a Murakumo. Now the Habakiri and grave will be triggering to be searching for a prayers and reborning itself onto the field. Let's activate the prayers, tribute off the Murakumo to then summon itself back onto the field alongside the Aramasa as we search for another prayers. Now you can optionally, if you want to, you could still summon the Dragluxion within 5 summons. If instead of tributing the Habakiri on field, you could tribute the Habakiri from the hand. And also, instead of using the prayers, you just keep the prayers, don't reborn the Aramasa, and then on your 5th summon, you'll be able to summon this. And because it's a trigger effect, they could chain Nibiru. You're still going to be searching your deck for the 7 Tachyon. So this line does play worse against Nibiru, but I just told you verbally what you could do to play around it. Activate on summon, searching for the 7 Tachyon. You could optionally go into the Harbinger. Not everyone's playing it. You could even optionally, instead of the Harbinger, go into a Lizard Dose, and I'm about to show you why. Let's activate the 7 Tachyon, searching for the Ext Ryzeal. Normal the ice. On summon, so summon from the deck our sword. Sword search for the Ext Ryzeal. Now, Ext Ryzeal does not search the deck unless we have only level 4s on the field. So we're going to use the Lizard to banish itself, but there needs to be another monster on the field as we now draw 1 card additionally, and we get that additional search with the Ext Ryzeal. And we're going to be chainlink blocking the Ext Ryzeal. Never do this play if you only have an Ext Ryzeal on the field, or you'll be negating yourself. Grabbing the node, and from there, we have an additional draw, search with the Ext Ryzeal. And again, the Harbinger and the Lizard are just options. I'm not telling you to play it. No Aramasa with Habakiri. I'm going to be showing you 2 different variations. The first variation, which will be this one, we're going to have the ability to search twice with a rank 8 Xyz or a rank 4 in case you get Impermanence. The other play is going to be a bit higher ceiling of forms of disruption you're going to have, but more susceptible to them disrupting you. Let's Habakiri, summon for the deck the Saji. Saji and Graves going to be searching for the ritual. Ritual out, tributing the Habakiri to summon from the deck the Murakumo. Trigger the Habakiri, searching for the prayers. Prayers tribute off the Murakumo. Grab the Kusanagi. Reborn from engrave the Saji. Trigger the Murakumo. Search for the Habakiri. As we now normal summon the Kusanagi, add back the ritual, activate the ritual, tribute from the deck to come forth and summon the Habakiri from the hand. Let's now turn all 4 bodies into the field, a way to bridge into our Ryzeal play. If one gets negated, you would then make the other, but this is just to showcase that we could do both. Again, no Aramasa, but we're going to be going into a play that gives us a bit more disruptions. Let's activate the Habakiri, summon the Saji to trigger, searching for the ritual. Ritual out. From the deck, the Murakumo, tributing off the Habakiri from in hand. Habakiri trigger, grab the prayers. Prayers tribute off the Murakumo, searching for the Kusanagi. Reborn the Saji and grave. Trigger the Murakumo to search our deck for the purification. Reborning the Murakumo. Kusanagi on normal summon is going to add back the prayers. As we now turn these two into the Duo Drive. Duo Drive will now be bridging our way into the Ryzeal, as we have an Omni Negate with the Purification and a prayers to tribute, search our deck, and reborn. Now, one Habakiri without Kusanagi, but we will have a mirror. Let's start this off, activating the Habakiri. Summon from the deck, Saji, tribute, trigger, search for ritual, tribute, using the Habakiri from the hand to summon, tributing off the Murakumo from the deck to search our deck for a mirror. Mirror will be tributing off the Habakiri on field to reborn the engraved Murakumo. Now the engraved Habakiri will be triggering to search our deck for the prayers, reborning, as we now turn these two bodies into a Dragluxion. Dragluxion will now be bridging our way into the 7 Tachyon, and you can now optionally go into the Harbinger. One Ext Ryzeal play with no Night Sword Serpent. We're going to be starting this off by using the Ext Ryzeal to dump from the extra deck an Eclipse Twins. Now, you do not need the Eclipse Twins. If it does not come out, you can instead send an Aggregator. It is the same exact play. Let's now continue. Triggering the Ext Ryzeal, searching for the Sword. Sword's going to summon, searching for the Ice. Ice on normal is going to summon from the deck a Star Ryzeal. Star Ryzeal will trigger to set from the deck the Ryzeal Cross. Now, this is perfect because we are under 5 summons, and with the Ryzeal Cross, we're guaranteed going to be able to play around a Nibiru. With no opportunity to use the Nibiru, we're going to summon the Ryzeal Detonator. Detonator on summon is going to attach the Eclipse Twins or an Aggregator, as we're now going to turn the other two into a Duo Drive. Duo Drive is going to detach 2, searching for a Node and an Ice Ryzeal. We're going to special the Node, get rid of the Drive to reborn from the grave the Sword Ryzeal. Now we're going to turn these two bodies into the Feral Imps. Feral Imps will be detached and to search our deck for the Habakiri. Habakiri summon for the deck Saji. You can optionally tribute off the Saji to further play around in Impermanence, but they likely would have used it by now. We're now going to be activating to search our deck for the Ritual. Ritual will be tributing off from the deck the Aramasa and the Kusanagi to summon the Habakiri from the hand. We're now going to be triggering to search our deck, and we're going to be adding from the grave. I put the search on the higher chain link because the search is not important. We're going to grab the Ritual. Ritual is going to tribute off the Habakiri to summon a Murakumo from the deck. Now let's trigger engrave the Habakiri, searching for a prayers, reborn back. Let's activate the prayers, tribute off the Murakuso to then grab the Habakiri as we reborn the Kusanagi from engrave, search for another prayers, reborn back the Murakumo as we now go into a Gallant Granite. Granite's going to detach to search our deck for a Nibiru, as we're now going to use the Cross to return 2 from engrave back to draw 1. In addition to the Nibiru in hand, we'll be setting the prayers so that during the opponent's turn, we can trigger the Murakumo to reborn back onto the field to then wipe away their entire field. This is a 1-card Ice Ryzeal play where we are not going to get Nibiru'd, but the play is Nibiru proof. I'll be showing you the Nibiru play right after this, and we are optionally playing the Purification. You do not need it. If you want to know what to do, if you don't have the Purification, just look at the Ext Ryzeal play instead. Starting with a normal summon Ice, summon from the deck an Ext Ryzeal. Do not summon Sword. This will be playing around Nibiru better as we search for a Sword Ryzeal. Let's further go into King of the Feral Imps. We're on the 3rd summon. We're going to detach to search our deck for the Habakiri. We're not activating Habakiri. We want to play around Nibiru. We're going to summon the Sword Ryzeal, activate search our deck for the Star Ryzeal. Star detach. We're now on 5 summons as we set from the deck the field spell. I will be showcasing if they Nibiru here what happens, how we can play right through it very easily. Otherwise, they have to Nibiru because we will be able to negate it. As we now go into the Duo Drive, it is too late for them to now Nibiru as we can negate. Let's activate the Habakiri, tribute off the Feral Imps. We could tribute the Saji instead if we want 1 less body on the field. If you want to play around Impermanence, we're going to summon the Murakumo with the Ritual, triggering the Habakiri. As we grab a Prayers, Prayers will tribute off the Murakumo to search and special summon the Kusanagi onto the field. We're now going to be triggering both effects. The Murakumo is going to reborn as we add back engrave the Prayers. And we're going to be optionally searching for the Purification here. Again, watch the Ext Ryzeal play if you want to showcase how to not play this. Onto the field, the Murakumo as we turn the 2 additional bodies into a Gallant Granite. We're going to be detaching to search our deck for a Nibiru. We're now going to be detaching not off of the Gallant Granite because we need enough materials engraved for the Cross to draw 1 card. Let's now use the Cross to return 2 back in the deck to draw 1 card, special summon the Node, send off the Granite, reborn from engrave. We're going to optionally summon the Ext Ryzeal. You could hold on to this for another turn. Otherwise, we're just going to have a better turn 1 here as we summon a 3 material that is Detonator, and also additionally attach an Aggregator or an Eclipse Twins. And again, the Purification is completely optional. It is an Omni Negate. You do not need it to perform this combo whatsoever. We get Lava Golems, and okay, Lava Golem again. The Murakumo reborns back, and all is swell. This is it. We are about to get Nibiru'd. Again, the purification in this combo is completely optional. Watch the Ext Ryzeal play if you want to learn how to not use the purification, as they're now going to be Nibiruing away our field right before we're able to negate it. Nibiru, tribute off the field. Goodbye to the field. Here comes Nibiru. Now, let's Habakiri activate, summon for the deck the Saji. We're going to tribute off the token, not the Saji. They can't IMPERM us as we search for the Mitsurugi ritual. Tributing off the Habakiri from our hand to summon the Murakumo from the deck as we now trigger the Habakiri engrave, searching for a Prayers. Prayers are going to be tributing off the Murakumo, searching for the Kusanagi, and special summoning it onto the field as we now trigger the effect of Murakumo and trigger the Kusanagi to add back the engrave card to our hand. Engrave, that's going to be our Mitsurugi Prayers as we search for the optional Great Purification. Let's turn these two bodies into the Duo Drive, and we are optionally not destroying the field because the Nibiru is protecting us from a potential impermanence. Duo Drive cannot get impermanence as we detach to search our deck. Also, because it has 3 materials, we are still protected with the Ryzeal Cross. We're going to special summon an Ext Ryzeal, special summon the Node. We're going to use the Cross to return to engrave back to draw 1. There's the Beaver Warrior. We're going to send a Beaver Warrior. This is completely optional. You could keep the card in your hand if it's all good. We're just gaining an additional material onto the detonator. Not needed. Now, the detonator is going to be a bit larger because of that. Detonator is going to be attaching from engrave, an aggregator, or an Eclipse Twins as we set the optional purification. And you may be wondering, what the heck? I thought we got Nibiru. That's right. We completely played through the Nibiru while 100% forcing them to activate it. Otherwise, we would negate it. An additional benefit to keeping Nibiru on the field is what if we're playing the mirror match and the opponent has an Ext Ryzeal? They now cannot special summon it to activate and search the deck because there's a Nibiru on the field. If they go to battle and attack, we can use the detonator to protect our Duo Drive from being destroyed. One pre-preparation. I'm not telling you to play this, but it may catch on. As you can see here, the most popular TCG Mitsurugi engines in Ryzeal, where only 36% of the players played with preparation. Start this off with a pre-preparation. You need to have a mirror in your deck, and it does have the effect to return back the deck, which you'll see within this play. Habakiri, summon a Saji tribute to search our deck for the ritual. Activate the ritual to tribute from the deck. We're going to be showcasing Serpent with this play. Aramasa and the Serpent to summon the Habakiri. We will chain link block the Aramasa because the search here is actually important as we reborn the Serpent and search for the Murakumo. Now let's activate the mirror, tribute off the Habakiri to summon the Murakumo onto the field. Trigger the Habakiri to reborn and search for a Prayers. As we're now going to activate the Prayers, tribute off the Murakumo, searching for the Kusanagi, summoning it onto the field, trigger the Murakumo to reborn as we add back engrave of Prayers to our hand. The mirror is also returning back the deck. If you have a preparation in your hand, you would then be able to activate it now. Grab back the ritual. We have the purification for this combo. Let's activate the ritual, tribute off the Habakiri to summon for the deck the Futsu. Why is Futsu used optionally for those that want to use it? Well, it has the effect of not once per turn. It's per time your opponent special summons. You can that many times reborn a reptile from your graveyard. They special summon once, you reborn. They special summon again, you reborn again. In addition to reborning the Habakiri or the Murakumo, if you reborn the smaller reptiles, they have an additional effect. If another reptile you control would be destroyed, you could tribute the card instead. Let's now exceed into the Duo Drive, detach 2, search for the Node and the Sword, turn both bodies into a Masquerina. As we now special the Sword, search for the Ice Ryzeal. Ice is going to activate, summon from the deck a Star Ryzeal. Star is going to be setting up the field spell. This is very important that we have a Node Ryzeal in case they were to Nibiru early so that we could just summon it afterward and then still be able to make a detonator. I see too many combos where they get completely blown out by a Nibiru. My combos are crafted very carefully with Nibiru in mind. Now we're going to be going into a Ryzeal detonator. You could have optionally went into the Granite, but again, with a really late Nibiru, that could be a problem. So we're now going to awkwardly have a Granite on the field instead of an extra material under the detonator. If you really don't care about Nibiru, then you can go into the Granite instead. Now we're going to attach from engrave the Serpent, special summon the Node Ryzeal, go into the Gallant Granite. Again, we could have went into the Granite early and then the detonator, but then we could get hit with a really late Nibiru. Granite's going to detach, searching for a Nibiru. We're going to use the Cross for turn 2, draw 1, as we now set an end. The Granite would have been used with the Node Ryzeal being sent to the grave to reborn another monster to give that detonator the other effect, but again, a late Nibiru would completely clap you up. Oh, Lava Golem. Well, the Futsu's going to reborn back in the field. Search our deck. Oh, Lava Golem again. Okay, and we're still good. Even through double Lava Golem. Now for the best way to play Mitsurugi Ryzeal. The #1 way is going to be going to Master No Meta, going into the search, click on deck types. You could type in Mits, and then Ryzeal Mitsurugi. As people are reaching Master or top in tournaments, this page will be continually updated with the best way to play. Until then, this is what I have for you, and I'll be showcasing some tournament top and deck lists. Here are my notes from June to September, the TCG, YCS, and national stats. 35.9% were playing with Fiendsmith. 64% among the non-Fiendsmith played a similar version to this, what you see in the main deck, extra deck. Now, 77% were side decking the Purification because they know when they're going first or second, and then the Serpent was used at 40%. Aramasa was used in the main deck at 80%. Saji and Kusanagi was 100%. 36% were playing with pre-preparation. Now, from the Master No Meta Ryzeal Mitsurugi deck breakdown, you can click on TCG or OCG to see how the deck was played over there. And now that we are on the page, we could use the Tier 3 events breakdown, which this is Nationals and YCSs, to see in the automated way the most played cards within the deck. If your deck is similar to this in any way whatsoever, you are on the right track. If you want to be more specific, we could scroll on down to the actual deck list. We could open up the filter, we could see Tier 3 only if we'd like, and because the Imps was recently banned, we could ensure that we're only looking at decks with the Feral Imps banned. And if you want to additionally search for decks that are not playing Engraver, we could set it to 1, and it's going to be less than 1, Engraver ranked like that. Let's click on search, and here are going to be Tier 3 events. You could go on through it however you want. We are showcasing with Feral Imps, so here's a deck list, here's another one, here's top 32 of a 2200 player event, here's a top 8 of a 2800 player event, here's one using Protoss in the side deck, that is. Here is the first place UK National Championship deck, where they are playing pre-preparation, and from the same event, top 4 not playing preparation. Very quickly, what is going to be the best way to counter Mitsurugi Ryzeal? Bystials are a decent option. Now, they're not always going to be activatable if they have no monsters on the field and then they're trying to reborn the Murakumo. Also, when attempting to Bystial or finger the Murakumo, they may have a prayers in addition to reborn it back, especially if they're playing with Dynamundo. The #1 counter will be Droll Lockbird. I think this card is 100% necessary at 3. And then you have the option of Forbidden Droplet. Forbidden Droplet, I think, is very good against Detonator, especially if Eclipse Twins comes, ensuring that the Detonator will not be able to pop itself. Both Molcharmi, Fuelos, and Parelia could also be decent options to help fight off against Mitsurugi Ryzeal. And there you have it. That is how you play Mitsurugi Ryzeal. All the combos, all the plays. Make sure you go on over to Master No Meta onto the deck type breakdown page to stay continually up to date with the best way to play the deck, which I'll have pinned in the top comment. And even better, make sure you continue to watch the tournament videos or show up to the live stream on twitch.tv/dcade every Sunday as we host tournaments, and you'll then see continually updated the best way to play Ryzeal Mitsurugi in the events. By commenting, liking, and subscribing, it greatly supports the videos. Thank you.